Happy New Year's Eve to all of you. I am joined to begin the celebration by Mary Katharine Ham, host of Getting Hammered podcast and of Normally podcast. Mary Katharine is doing the very smart thing of dumping her kids with the grandparents and enjoying a few hours of extra rest. Am I right about that, Mary Katharine? Are you dumping kids on grandparents?
We are, but you know what? My parents are blessed that they have too many grandkids and too many kids to fit in their house. So the amount of rest I can actually get is governed by how much space there is for us, and there's not a lot.
Oh. I spent hours with T-Rex Teddy and his brand new electric vehicle in the driveway for the last week. So I know what my highest and best use is to chase after Genghis Kate in her pink car and after T-Rex Teddy on his police-mobile. Mary Katharine, I took the Fetching Mrs. Hewitt because we are now sans grandchildren to a movie yesterday, shocking development.
Oh, nice.
And we went and saw A Complete Unknown with Timothy Chalamet. How do we say his name?
Chalamet.
And it's a fine film. Have you seen it yet?
I have not seen it, but I'm interested in it, and I am generally impressed with Timothy Chalamet.
So am I, and this brings me to my very pressing year-end topic. I am a child of the age of Aquarius. I am in second grade in 1964. I think you were in second grade around 1986. My movie stars, when I first started getting dropped off at the movies, were Sean Connery and Goldfinger and Julie Andrews and Mary Poppin and Audrey Hepburn in My Fair Lady and John Wayne and Clint Eastwood, A Fistful of Dollars, Dr. Strangelove, Peter Sellers. Pretty good list, 1964. 1986, Steve Guttenberg in Police Academy, Tom Hanks in Splash and The Money Pit. We've got Chevy Chase. Yeah, no, we're not going to. That he doesn't count. He's TV. You've got
3 Men and a Baby. 3 Men and a Baby was very formative for me, so he counts.
Oh, okay. Well, you've got Chevy Chase, Kathleen Turner, Chuck Norris, Molly Ringwald, and today they have Timothy Chalamet. Who do you think had the best lineup? Them, us, you, or me?
Oh, I hate to betray my generation, but I'm kind of leaning toward yours. I do think Chalamet is interesting because he's like a triple threat. He's sort of like a non-threatening teen idol little guy, right? But he's also a regular dude. He did ESPN's Game Day and impressed everyone. And he's also like just very charming. So I think he's going to be pretty powerful for years to come.
He is fabulous in this. And I am very skeptical of this guy. I'm a big Dylan fan. I was telling people. Second question, best concert you've ever been to, Mary Katharine Ham?
Best concert I've ever been to? I saw Outkast in the very early days, which I know is not your style probably.
Nope.
But I was a freshman in college. It was a very small open field venue. The ticket cost $8, and it was splurging for me to buy it. And it was fantastic. There were like 500 people there.
That is fabulous. Mine is Bob Dylan, the Rolling Thunder Review in 1975. And it did not cost a lot of money to get a very high up nosebleed seat at the Boston Music Hall. That's another difference between then and now. You could actually go to a concert without calling up and getting a payday loan. But generally, if you compare Chalamet with yours and with mine, who's going to win the movie star battle 100 years from now?
Well, it's interesting. I've done the math before, and you know Tom Cruise is the longest running lead man, like leading man for just the longevity is insane because he started when he was 17 as a leading man in teen films, and he's still going. So I think there's something there. But I think for like sheer manliness, probably your generation.
Yeah, I think it's pretty hard to beat. I've always argued that 1956 is the best year to be born for pop culture, both as to music and to movies. And I think you've got a decent argument about Tom Cruise. But the one guy who's on all three lists, all right, so the 1964 list, the 1986 list, and let's say 2 years ago or 4 years ago, is Clint Eastwood. If you want to talk about durability, he did A Fistful of Dollars in 1964. Goodness gracious.
That's crazy.
So, Mary Katharine, New Year's Eve, how do you and the wonderful Mr. Ham celebrate?
Well, I'm not really a New Year's Eve person. I feel like it's a lot of work. I don't like to get dressed up when it's cold outside. I like to stay in, so I don't do anything too crazy usually. Vic Mattis does have a little gathering, so I may go to that if we can find childcare. But as you know, finding childcare can be difficult on New Year's Eve. Oh,
What do you have to pay someone to handle your brood of 4?
Pardon?
What do you have to pay someone to handle your brood of 4 in D.C. these days?
Oh, at least $25 an hour usually. If I can sometimes get a team, and then you can take it down a little bit.
Isn't it remarkable? I mean, isn't it just crazy how much it costs for childcare?
Yes. I mean, it's wild. I understand why people get concerned about that when they are thinking about having children. I think it's still obviously the greatest thing you can do, and you just need to bite the bullet and figure it out later.
Yeah, at least once a day, Mrs. Hewitt tells me that she babysat for 50 cents an hour. So just like it's like one of her great childhood scars, because she's now paying $25 an hour and we help the kids out. Mary Catherine, let's get serious. Joe Biden says he would have won if he'd stayed in the race.
I think that's as delusional as the rest of Joe Biden's presidency. It's crazy.
It is crazy. And when he says that, he doesn't say it on camera. It's leaked. Did you read the leaks about Joe Biden, Jake Sullivan interview with the Washington Post, and what he said that Biden was dealing in decades and generations and long-term stuff? His agenda wasn't driven by the political cycle.
Well, it's a lovely unprovable hypothesis, right? Because we have to wait a couple decades to see if Joe Biden was right. Joe Biden's not right. Just like him being diminished for the entirety of his presidency, you can see it with your own eyes. Jake Sullivan has to make up excuses for his co-presidency, since he's been making a lot of decisions these past 4 years that he shouldn't have been making, and this is how he's justifying it.
Now, I want to know I got probably booed through the television yesterday. I was on Larry Kudlow's show with David Asman, and I made the statement, I hope Trump doesn't spend a minute chasing after the Bidens. I just don't want, he should look forward, get the wall built, rebuild the Navy, cut the taxes, deregulate housing and energy. He's got a lot to do without politicizing DOJ. What do you think?
I'm kind of with you, not because I don't believe they shouldn't be punished, but because there's only such a limited amount of time, particularly for a president who's actually on a honeymoon. This is the first time he's gotten that chance. So that is not my top priority at all. But there is a concern that, if they get away with it, it's just the rules are different for different parties. And I do not love that. I just think as a matter of resources and time, you should focus on the things you promised on the trail, and that was not number one.
Well, it strikes me that if he gets into that, we'll never get out of this. Yeah. Meaning the politicization and weaponization of the Department of Justice, which is, I think, probably one of the great scars on the Biden administration is the weaponization of justice. So let's move on to the Second Circuit. This might take us into the break, which is good because we may want to talk about some things during the break that we don't want children in cars to hear. Yesterday, a 3-judge circuit of the Second Circuit, Judges Chin, 70-year-old senior circuit judge, Obama appointee, Judge Carney, 73, another Obama judge, Judge Perez, 50, a Biden judge, unanimously upheld the Jean Carroll verdict. And I read their opinion, and it's nothing wrong here, nothing to see, move along. What's your reaction to that?
If I am honest, I have not read up on this, but I have always been fairly skeptical of the Jean Carroll verdict, given the amount of sort of like physical evidence and the questions about her narrative that she's not even sure about and has contradicted in the way she's spoken about it publicly. It seemed like sort of thin gruel as a case, and obviously it was civil, not criminal, from the beginning to me. So I guess I'm not terribly surprised that that 2 Obama and 1 Biden appointee would back it.
Do you think that it's intentional when I had to go look up every judge. I had to go look up the opinion. There was no link in any major newspaper account of the Second Circuit's decision. I had to go find the opinion. I had to go look up who the judges were and who appointed them. Do you think that's unusual?
I'm iffy on that because I don't want to say that all judges are like partisan hacks at all. But it does inform my view of things, and I would like to know that information.
That's exactly every single story written about Judge Cannon and her treatment of Jack Smith in the Florida case has mentioned she's a Trump appointee. Pretty much everything I've read, and during the break, and then I'll put it on the podcast for you, I'm going to ask Mary Katharine Ham if she thinks the legal press is as broken as the mainstream legacy media. Don't go any. I'm back with Mary Katharine Ham. Mary Katharine, because I'm a lawyer and a law professor, I may tend to overstate this. I am, however, consistently critical of the news media, which always tells us when it's a Trump judge. It never tells us when it's Obama and Biden judges. Do you think that's intentional?
Yeah, I think this is how they do business. It frequently happens just with party affiliations for legislators as well, right? If there's some negative story and you can't find the party affiliation, you know what the party is. So I do think the press just does that, and it's really bad form because it's not uniformly informing people, which is what they're supposed to be doing.
Now, what I would like to see happen with, I think the Jean Carroll case is absolute utter nonsense. A joke. It would only been brought because George Conway raised money, I believe, to bring it. And I think she is quite a few cards short of a full deck. And the stuff she's put online is outrageous and disgusting. That all said, maybe it's a good judicial verdict. I don't believe these three judges are in a position to persuade me. Do you hope the Supreme Court steels itself? It takes 4 justices out of 9 to take a petition for cert. I would like them to take this, if only to assure me that this was a legit case, because I don't trust anyone involved in this. It's in New York.
Yeah. I don't trust anyone involved in it, but I don't know about – this is another question of, like, amount of resources and what you want to put it toward, right? I'm not sure that E. Jean Carroll is my choice.
But it's out there. It's part of his legacy, and we always hear it from people, and I think the court's got to be aware of the fact that the weaponization issue – which lurks beneath the cover of the Jean Carroll case, along with every Jack Smith case and Alvin Bragg case and Atlanta case, that the court's got to realize the rule of law has taken a huge dent in the last 4 years. Do you think they are aware of this?
I think the ones I like, I think they are definitely aware of that. And it is frightening because I don't know which institutions to trust anymore. I don't blame people for having the amount of mistrust that they have. It has been well earned, but it doesn't do our society any good to continue down that path.
I am glad that Christopher Wray resigned because it was clear the president wanted him to. Do you think the president should nominate a new archivist? Because it wasn't this archivist who set in motion the process that led to the raid on Mar-a-Lago. It was David Ferriero, the old archivist. The new archivist had nothing to do with it, but is a lefty, is a Biden nominee. Do you think Trump ought to clean house there too?
Yeah, I wouldn't mind him doing that at all. It's within his purview. And is this the current archivist, the one that made the decision to just release the pictures of Biden with all of the Chinese officials that Hunter was working with?
I don't know. I suspect she is, but I don't know.
Because the timing of that is bizarre, and I would like to know more about it. And from an office like the archivist is really disappointing.
I was asked about that last question, Mary Katharine, and I said Xi Jinping looks like, when he's staring to Hunter and Joe, like they've got the word Mark tattooed on their foreheads. What did you make of those pictures?
I mean, this is the thing about the entire Biden legacy. We have been gaslit by the press at every turn. Whenever you have evidence of this quite clear on its face, situation that they're doing in the Biden family, they look at you like you have a third eyeball. And then there's actual evidence in bank accounts and photos that Biden was indeed meeting with these people and enriching the family off of it. And they still look at you like you're crazy, whereas in the Russiagate story, you needed zero evidence to come to the conclusion that Donald Trump was a Russian asset. It's embarrassing. They keep doing it, and it keeps seeding distrust.
They are so broken, I do not believe they can be repaired. But we'll talk about that next week. Mary Katharine Ham, enjoy having grandparents around. Go foist the kids on them and have a nice day out with Steve. Thank you for joining me. Getting Hammered, I want more of it. You guys have been slacking off like everyone else. It's like a desert for podcasting, but Getting Hammered will return soon. Thank you, Mary Katharine.
Bye.